you guys. Welcome back to Bright Violet Arts. My name is Valerie, and in the video today I'm going to show you step by step how to draw a freehand mandala. You won't need any kind of tools like a compass or a protractor. We're going to do this freehand and I'll show you the methods I use. Let's take a look at the pens I'm using today. I've got a couple of highlighters. I have some acrylic paint markers, and these are cool because one end is a brush marker. It's got a flexible brush tip, and the other side on this double-ended marker is a dot marker, and that comes in really handy. I'm also using a black fine liner. This one is a Copic multiliner in a size 0.5. I have a white paint pen with an ultrafine tip. This is actually a gel pen. It's kind of a bright orange color, and I think it's from Target. It's the Pen Gear brand. And then finally I have 3 different colors of pink. These are Tombow dual tip brush markers. I want to be clear though that you don't need any special supplies to do this project. All you need is a piece of paper and a single pen of any variety. The most important thing is to start with a perfect circle. That's the only template we're going to need. I just used a roll of washi tape. You can use a coin or whatever you have on hand if you don't have a circle stencil. This circle is going to serve as the focal point of our mandala. Everything else is going to radiate around this point, and we will build layer by layer to achieve a fairly intricate result at the end of this process. I'm using the dot marker now to make dots around the circle that are spaced evenly apart, and I'm actually going to be using these as guidelines for the layers that follow it. But the easiest way to space it evenly is to start like it's a compass. Make a dot at the top and bottom like north and south, and dots on the sides east and west. And as long as those are straight, then you can fill in the spaces next to them in even intervals of space. And then now everything I do is going to radiate out from those little petals where the dots are, and I'll just start building the layers up. I like to use teardrop shapes in my mandalas, but you can use literally any shape you want. Lines, circles, triangles, squares. Like I said, I really like teardrop shapes and petal shapes, but that's just a personal preference. You can use any shapes that appeal to you. When I'm drawing a freehand mandala, I have learned to embrace imperfections as part of the process. This is not going to be geometrically perfect because it is of course done freehand, but I love the look of a hand-drawn design like this and having an image that's even more unique because it does have certain imperfections and irregularities within the drawing. It gives it a nice casual hand-drawn style, and I really appreciate that look, which is why I usually do the freehand style rather than mapping out perfect angles and perfect guidelines with a protractor and compass. Drawing mandalas is much more about the process, I find, than it is about the product. It's a very meditative experience, at least for me. I find that I experience feelings of relaxation. It encourages my focus. It gives me a sense of calm, and it's so repetitive that it mostly goes on autopilot. After you have decided what shape you're going to use in a certain layer, then you're just repeating it all the way around the circle, and that goes along very well with the concept of mindfulness, in that when I'm repeating the elements around the circle, I'm not worried about the overall design and how intricate it is. I'm just focused on the present activity, the present object that I'm drawing, and it helps you kind of stay in the moment. Typically a mandala, at least in the context of Western art, is thought of as a circle design with various elements that all flow backward to a center point. But I like to have a little variety in my shapes. I didn't necessarily want this to have a perfect circle as the outside border, so I have used a scalloped pattern to finish off the edges of this one. My scalloped edges come from just using curves on an alternating high-low pattern around the edge of the circle. A variation on that is if I were to have used a sharp angle instead of a curve to finish off the edges of the circle, it would have given me kind of a star-shaped pattern or a sunburst pattern for the edge of the mandala. You could experiment with a variety of shapes to see what other kinds of edges you could get on your design as well. Drawing a freehand mandala definitely gets easier with practice, and I found that my results improved with more and more experience drawing these patterns. If you are a beginner at drawing mandalas, it is often easier to start with some designs that use larger and very simple shapes. Once you're comfortable with the basic shapes, then you can start experimenting with smaller shapes, finer details, and more intricate patterns to create very unique designs. Throughout this video, you'll see me rotating my paper. It's very, very helpful to continue to rotate your paper or canvas as you draw, because it will help you in a couple of ways. It'll help you be able to visualize where the design elements should be placed, but it also helps as far as like the ergonomics of drawing. It'll help you position your hand at the most ideal angle to approach whatever piece you're drawing at that time. It's much more difficult to try to bend your wrist around the circle and then still create the same output of the same shape and placement. It's so much easier to rotate the paper, and then you're always approaching that shape from the same angle every time. Another tip that I would have, especially for beginners, is to use a pencil to draw the design first, and then that way you can consider the placement more carefully before you actually ink it in with a pen or a marker and make the design permanent. That can really help improve your overall results. And don't be afraid to erase as you go, because you can really refine the results that way. If you make multiple attempts at the same shape, eventually you'll get the version that you like the best. Of course, we always want to work from the center outward, and this is going to help you decide how large you want the finished design to be. And you just want to remember that every layer adds considerable area to your design. So when you start on your canvas or your paper, you want to get an idea of how large the design should be, and make sure you place your center point on an area where it has room to grow, room to bloom. The materials that you select to create your mandala will determine to some degree what options you have in creating your patterns. If you're using just a single pen, like say with a dark ink like blue or black, you can get a very striking design because the contrast is going to be the color of your canvas or the white of your paper. Of course, markers would give you beautiful bright colors. Colored pencils are excellent for allowing you to blend and get color variations and transitions within your design. But for myself personally, I like to use mixed media as I'm doing here today. I find that mixing the acrylic paint markers, the fine liner, the water-based markers and highlighters, I find that is what gives my designs kind of the pop. Because I use paint pens combined with markers, I'm able to use the different mediums, each to their own best advantage. And more simply put, that just means I can layer over marker or fine liner or anything else with a paint pen. That means I can refine my work. If I have anything that's like a little sloppy looking, I can go back and use a paint pen over top of it, and it's opaque, so it's going to cover anything, whether it's a dark color or a light color. It will obscure what's beneath it, and that is very helpful in these designs, especially when you're freehanding it. It's also very pretty, I think, to layer the paint pen over areas of marker or other blended colors like colored pencil. Using paint pen also gives me a lot of freedom to go back and add layers on top of layers, which gives, added beauty and added intricacy to the finished product. Here in the center of my mandala, I'm covering over some of that original marker work with the gel pen and the paint pen, and I am adding more dots on top of those layers as well. And that just, it's more ornamental and it's easier. If I had to do this all in marker, it would be much more taxing to create these tiny little details that are on the top layer. It's so much easier to go back after the fact and then add in additional details on top of larger spaces. Using mixed media like this with the water-based inks and the acrylic inks, the fine liner, etc., it provides the opportunity to get a lot more depth in the result, because all of those materials have different levels of opacity and different levels of sheen, like how reflective they are. And when you have all of the different levels together, it really creates something unique and beautiful. So that's just a personal preference I have. I like to mix media. I mean, I could do the whole thing in paint pen and still have the advantage of being able to layer, but I really do enjoy the contrast of the opaque inks and the more translucent water-based inks together. Another beautiful element of the mandala art form is the unique nature of your results. It's very difficult to duplicate a mandala. Drawing the same thing twice is very unlikely. They're all going to be different. And even if you develop a style where you have a preference for certain shapes and colors and inks, it may look like it's something that you drew that's in your style, but it's still going to be unique from anything else you've ever drawn. It's a product of the moment, of that time, that process. And to that end, people definitely consider these to be very spiritual. Mandalas figure heavily into the sacred art of a number of different religions, and they are also very popular in the West as part of a pursuit of mindfulness and a practice of meditation. They are very, very intuitive. I always decide what element or what shape I'm going to use on a certain layer in the moment. It's very stream of consciousness, and that's another way that they are unique to the artist. The symbolism of mandalas is different depending on who you ask, basically, but for some traditions, they're seen as a representation of the interconnectedness of all things in the universe. In other traditions, they are thought to be a visual representation of the path to enlightenment. In other religions, they're seen as a map of the deities within the universe, and yet still in other practices, they are used in rituals of being created in sand, and then the sand is scattered in sacred locations, and it's a metaphor for the impermanence of life and I guess the cycle of creation and destruction. For me personally, I just think of them as being very beautiful records of the process that I go through to create them. It is a symbol of creativity and mindfulness for me. I find them to be more than beautiful, I find them to be somewhat hypnotic. But as far as the mandala we're creating here today, I think I'm going to finish this off with one more detail, and then I'm going to leave it here. I think I've pushed it as far as I can in terms of adding layers. So let's take a look at the final outcome of our session today. I hope that you learned enough to get started on your own mandala practice. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please click like and consider subscribing. For more illustration tips and techniques, you can find me at instagram.com. My handle there is @BrightVioletArts. But until the next video, thank you again for drawing with me today, and thanks for checking out the channel. Have a good one. See you next time.